Namaste, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for another soulful session. My name is Hengame, and together with Arko, today we are going to talk about sacrifice versus sabotage. And this is something that a lot of people might be experiencing. I had experienced this before at some point. And so we will talk about all these patterns that may cause dissatisfaction despite we are giving or doing service, doing something to help other people. Arko, if you want to introduce yourself, and then we will begin as usual with a short invocation and introduction and starting the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Hengame. Good evening to everyone from this part of the world, and so it might be a good morning whenever you see this or whenever you catch the recording. The recordings will be sent to everyone who's registered for the session, but that's going to take about 2 or 3 days after we upload and edit. So first question we ask everybody, can you hear the sound clearly? If you can, just type a quick yes in the chat so we know that you can hear us. Otherwise, it's just going to look like I'm putting on the world's most dramatic expressions in silence, okay? So that's one. The second thing is that we, many of you are part of our WhatsApp group, correct? Many of you are there are like 500 plus people on our WhatsApp group. And we put up a poll yesterday asking about, as a healer, do you feel any of certain emotions and sentiments? And we had about 140 votes coming in, some of them messaging personally, many of them voting on the poll. And we're going to talk about that because, as Hengame said, these are certain emotions that as a healer, as a caregiver, we feel this. So a question for everyone in the chat. How many of you here are healers? If you are a healer, just write, I'm a healer. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that you're like a professional pranic healer or an energy healer. You could also be like a caregiver, like you're a counselor. Okay, you can be a healer, you can be a counselor, you can be somebody who's, have you heard this phrase, agony aunt or agony uncle? It's like when people talk to you about all your problems and everything in life, everything about their life. So you can be a healer, you can be a counselor, you can just be a guide, you can be a coach. So whichever one of these applies to you, just put that over there in the chat and we'll know that different things of these apply to you. Maybe some of them are familiar to you, maybe some of them are new to you. What we can promise is that creating this particular session was one of the more, I don't want to use the word challenging. I don't want to use the word challenging, but while making this, both of us were like, this is becoming deep. This is becoming deep. And we had to pause and really re-inspect and stuff. So you're in for
a lot of self-reflection, a lot of
a lot of self-reflection. So you might feel the need to take a pause. If you have some questions, put them in the chat as always, and we'll always answer them as we go in the chat. So yeah, that's what you can expect in this session, a lot of depth, a lot of inner reflection. Then we'll just start the session now. So Hengame.
Perfect. So as usual, let's start with a short invocation. So please sit relax. Close your eyes. Inhale and exhale slowly and deeply. Be aware of your whole body. Relax your body. If you feel any pain or discomfort, just bring your awareness to that area and mentally say, I let go. I am not the body. I am not the pain. I let go. Inhale slowly and deeply. Exhale slowly and deeply. Now bring your awareness higher to your thoughts and your emotions. Just observe each and every thought that comes to your mind and fade away. Mentally say, I am not my thoughts. I am not my emotions. Thoughts and emotions are just products of the soul. Visualize all your thoughts and emotions disintegrate and disappear. All your fears, worries, frustrations disintegrate and disappear. And what remains is just brilliant white light. Inhale slowly and deeply. Exhale slowly and deeply. Inhale and exhale. Now mentally say to the Supreme Being, to our spiritual teacher, to all the spiritual teachers, all the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, healing angels, and healing ministers. Thank you so much for all of your priceless blessings, for your divine light, divine love, and divine power, divine guidance, help, and protection. Thank you in full faith. Inhale slowly, inhale all the blessings. Exhale slowly and be aware of your whole body. Inhale slowly. Exhale slowly. Inhale slowly, inhale all the blessings. And when you are comfortable, gently open your eyes with a big, big smile. Namaste and welcome again. So what you are hearing in this presentation is mainly based on the teachings of Master Choa Kok Sui. Of course, it has teachings from other spiritual teachers as well, but the basis is the teachings of Master Choa Kok Sui and Pranic Healing, which helped us understand all these, concepts and ideas. And as we go through, what is required from everyone here is to be open. We don't want you to believe anything, but try to be open and honest with yourself, because the whole purpose of this presentation is to help us continue serving without over exhausting ourselves and without feeling, guilt or anger or dissatisfaction. Serving should be with happiness, with feeling blissful. And if it's not experience, means there should be something wrong. And we will try to touch base with some of these. Again, whatever you hear here is based on our self-reflection. So there might be something which you are experiencing that could not, maybe it's not here. If that's the case, you are most welcome to put in the chat so that everybody else can also see what you are going through. But we try to include everything as much as possible. Okay, so let's begin with some introduction about the session, and then we will just dive into it. Arko, back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Hengame. Okay, so when we keep giving in the world of service, giving is often seen as an accomplishment, right? But there's a point when giving stops being a very noble thing, being a very charitable thing, and it starts becoming destructive. Not destructive from the point of those who are getting the thing, but from the point of the person who's giving. So a lot of you in the chat, you wrote that you are healers or counselors, all of the above. But when you're over giving, the keyword here is over, okay? So when you're over giving, when you're over committing, a lot of self-neglect comes in. So it doesn't just, you're not just giving, you're giving away of yourself. One of the things about pranic healing is that we use the chi or the prana or the energy of the world or the environment. But a lot of us, we kind of stop creating that boundary between ourselves and between outsiders and between everything else, and we just start giving our own thing. How many of you have experienced this? That despite following energy hygiene, despite, cord cutting, despite following the rules and regulations of a proper healing modality, sometimes you still feel really, really drained because you are always switched on. How many of you have noticed this? You're always switched on. You're always in performance mode. It's 1 o'clock at night. Hey, I need a healing. I'm on. You're on a holiday. Hey, can you do something for me? I'm feeling this or that. Sure, I'm on. How many of you felt this? How many of you have experienced this? Okay, as a healer, as a giver. And if you're on the other side, that you're comfortable texting your healer at 1 a.m. saying, hey, I had a fight with my so-and-so, can you do a healing for our relationship? And then maybe that session's for, it's a different session then, okay? we had somebody who complained, and this happened with me once, not once, actually many times. There's this person who kept complaining of chest pain, always complaining of chest pain, and she would message at any time of the day. No, because chest pain doesn't say, it's 5 o'clock, it's time for a chest pain, or oh, it's 4 o'clock, it's time for a chest pain. It doesn't come that way. Funnily enough, I noticed that every time it was after lunch or after dinner is when her message would come. So it would come around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whenever. So finally, one day I said, you don't have chest pain. See a doctor about digestive issues. See the doctor about digestive issues. So it turns out she had irritable bowel movement. She had gastric problems. And sometimes it feels like there's a lot of pressure. So as a healer, I saved myself the trauma of hearing a 30-something-year-old lady talking about chest pain, when it just turned out she is lactose intolerant. So different things happen, right? So acidity, IBS, gastritis, it can really create a, so we have a doctor in the chat and she's reaffirming this. So as a healer, we posted these questions. This was part of our reflection. How many of these apply to you? Okay, now 150 people voted totally. Some of them voted on personal chat, and the answers are there on the group. Can you answer if any of these apply to you? Do you feel resentful even when you are helping? Do you feel resentful even when you are helping? If yes, type number 1. Sometimes are you, right? Only if it's yes, okay? Are you exhausted because you're feeling that you're giving too much, you're overworked, or you feel misaligned, that you're not helping the person that you want to help, or the person who's getting your help isn't deserving of it? So you're not like, I'm giving, but I don't know, I have confusion, I have doubt. Okay, so that's number 1. So make a note of it yourself. Number 2, is my exhaustion due to overwork or misalignment? Number 3, am I giving because my stock is full? I have so much to give that I'm giving and giving and giving. Or am I giving because I'm scared or I'm anxious, or sometimes I feel that, okay, it's a habit. People expressed people expressed that they want to receive things from me, so I keep giving stuff. So if that kind of stuff happens to you, that's number 3. Number 4, do I feel valued or just useful? Now, this is a problem that happens to a lot of us. We feel very taken for granted. So I'm going to let that statement sit with you for a while. Point number 4, okay? A lot of us feel really, really taken for granted, that we're operating at 120%, okay? As a healer, we're available, we're doing things, and the person who's receiving all of the help and the healing, sometimes they feel that they're also giving. But when I'm operating at 120%, I can't value the person who is operating at 80%. Think about it. From my perspective as a healer, as a giver, I'm giving 120, and the person over here, they're also putting in 80% of the effort, but I'm seeing, oh, it's 40% less. So sometimes there's a perception mismatch. It can be a problem. It can lead to relationships breaking down. It can lead to a lot of other issues, but this is a problem we do have. So sometimes, are you feeling that you're just giving, or are you useful? Are you valued? When you talk about something, are people listening to you, or are they saying, oh, yeah, he just gives us priceless gold and information and nuggets all the time? Okay. 5th part, is there a part of me that's still trying to prove something? This is number 5, and this one received the maximum number of votes when we had asked this. Am I feeling resentful even when I'm helping? Is my exhaustion due to overwork or misalignment? Am I giving from fullness or from fear or guilt? Do I feel valued or useful? Which part of me is still trying to prove something? We had 30 people. We had 30 people talk about this because they feel that they're just still trying to prove something. And this can happen because of the issues we have with our parents, our childhood, any trauma that we have. All of these things can cause us to feel that we need to keep giving, giving, giving. When it comes to receiving, we're not good at. How many of you have problems with receiving, by the way? How many of you have problems receiving gifts? How many of you have problems receiving compliments? How many of you, like, if someone says, okay, we've got capital letters, I see you, I see you, you said me in capital letters, I feel you, right? So I don't know if I'm having a conversation. People are saying, oh, yes, see, you see how many of you have difficulty in receiving even compliments, okay? How many of you have difficulty receiving compliments? And we wonder, are you telling me this because I'm really, a good speaker, or I'm really looking good? Are you saying that you want something from me? What's happening? You notice your brain kind of gets so wired into giving mode that you wonder, okay, just cut to the chase, okay, cut the crap, remove the nonsense. You want something from me? Tell me what you want, okay? Forget about giving. I'm just here to give. Chances are this is a big, big part of you. And why this happens, the reason why this happens is because as far as giving and receiving is concerned, let's look at a quote by Master Choa Kok Sui, where he's talking about giving and receiving. It talks about the law of karma. You see, live life by the virtues, by the law of karma, not just by culture. Giving and receiving is a cycle. To break the cycle will result in disaster. Non-receiving is equally disastrous. The cycle must be maintained. What must be done to the cycle? It must be maintained. We're talking about the cycle of giving and receiving, huh? Not a bicycle. You must maintain your bicycle also, but we're talking about the actual time of giving. The key word that I kind of want to draw your attention to is the second line, or the second half of the second line. To break the cycle of giving and receiving will result in what? Disaster. Say this part with me. To break the cycle of giving and receiving will result in disastrous. Non-receiving is equally disastrous. The cycle must be maintained. Do you want to try an experiment? It's a very short, fun experiment, okay? I'm saying fun because I've done it a number of times, but when I do this for my business healing clients, okay? When I'm teaching the importance of corporate donations, corporate tithing, okay? We do a lot of business healings. So the clients must be taught about tithing. You're familiar with the concept of tithing? Giving 10% of your income to charitable or spiritual causes so that you can help humanity, so you can help the world. That's the concept. The word is tithing. It's written as TITHING. I'm just putting that in the chat. Donating 10% of your income monthly, right? So I just put that in the chat for everyone's reference. Ready for the experiment? If you're ready, put yes or Y or thumbs up. Ready? 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 We need at least 5 people to be ready. We've got 2 people, 3, 4. The experiment is not on tithing. The experiment is on breathing. All right. Exhale. Exhale. Don't take a breath in. Exhale, exhale, exhale. Exhale, 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 exhale. Hold your breath. Hold your breath. Hold your breath. Keep holding your breath. No inhalation allowed. Okay, got a stopwatch going on here. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. Do you feel the need to breathe? Breathe. 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 How's it feel? Fresh air entering your lungs. Hopefully, fresh air entering your lungs. Breathing. Good, right? You feel alive. All right. Okay, inhale. 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 Keep inhaling. No exhalation allowed. Inhale, inhale, inhale. Become, expand your stomach, expand your chest. Hold your breath. Inhale. All right, relax. How's that feel? Alive again. If you're constantly inhaling, you're uncomfortable. If you're constantly exhaling, you're also uncomfortable. You can't just be taking. Constant inhalation, you will need to exhale. Constant exhalation, you're going to be drained out. So you need to inhale as well. So if you stop the cycle of inhalation, exhalation, what do we call a person who has stopped inhalation, exhalation? What do you call a person who has stopped inhaling and exhaling? Dead. DEAD. Unalived. Game over. Fatality. So if you are going to not be receiving while giving, what's going to happen to you energetically? What's going to happen to your energetic breathing? You're going to be what? Dead. Okay? That's what's going to happen. So if you stop the cycle of giving and receiving, it's going to become disastrous. Why? Well, what's worse than a dead person? I'm sure suffering and pain, right? But if you're dead, the cessation of all suffering doesn't make sense. So non-receiving is equally disastrous. Has this point come across to you now? Do you understand the importance of, even as a person who finds it difficult to accept compliments, that you need to kind of accept them every once in a while? If someone says, hey, your hair looks amazing today, Instead of saying, why, what's wrong with it? Oh, what's this? What's that? Just say, thank you. Okay, you look really good today. I really love your topic. Thank you. Thank you so much. And if you're from the Indian subcontinent, so most people, if you say thank you, other people say you're welcome or no problem. If you're an Indian, you say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, in decreasing order of volume. We never say thank you, you're welcome. You say thank you, thank you, thank you. So if you're from any of these parts of the world, or that's something, a new cultural infusion that you've got. If someone says thank you, you say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Right? The same goes for sorry, by the way. Sorry, 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 sorry. Okay, we have a lot of echoes in our system. So anywho, that's the cycle of giving and receiving. Live life by the virtues, by the law of karma, not just by culture. Not getting into this statement in too much depth because that's again a whole talk by itself, because the virtues and karma, all of this. Yeah, so you see the Iranians also do the same, Indo-Iranian cultural exchange. Yes, this session is being recorded and the recordings will be sent to everyone who's registered in 2 to 3 days time. Okay, so feel free. So that's about giving and receiving. Now let's go a little more into depth about our identities, which Hengame will talk about.
Thank you so much, Arko. Yes, I also had this problem before. It's not just compliments, but sometimes I used to do a lot of healing for people. So whenever whoever asks healing, yes, whoever is sick, I would do healing. But when I'm sick, someone is offering to do healing for me, I would say, no, 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 it's okay, I will get better. No, you don't need to do healing for me or trouble yourself. Or sometimes getting money. Like I remember sometimes it happens. So when I do healing, people like insist on paying if I decide to do it by donation or just free of charge, but they still insist of paying, and I'm like, no, we just did this free of charge, and then they still insist, no, but you have to get. It's like sometimes it still happens that you may not be ready to receive. So I need to catch myself and say, okay, as we give, we should be receiving, and as we receive, and we could be giving. Okay, now let's start with what are some of these patterns that cause this problem, of resenting although we are helping, or feeling, not happy although we are doing service to help other people. Now, first one is the identity trap. I am the helper trap. Now, before we move on further and talk about this, I will ask a question. If you have a paper, please write on a paper, or you can use your phone, or just try to be aware and think about it. Who are you? Think about it deeply. Who are you? How do you identify yourself? What do you identify yourself with? It could be your physical body, like I'm a female, or I'm a male, or I am young, or I look like this, I am beautiful, or I'm sexy, or could be a role, like I'm a mother, I'm a father, I'm a sister, brother, I'm the boss, I'm a manager, I'm designer, whatever. Please write down whatever roles, things, objects, like I'm prosperous, I have this house, I have this status in the society. It could be all of this that you really identify yourself with, and which is when removed, you lose, your identity. Now, many years ago, there was this person that, in my eyes, she was very strong, and she was one of the most strongest women I had seen until that day. She was very successful. She was dressing very nicely, very confident. After a while, I met her again. She came to the center and she was broken. And I'm like, what happened to you? You used to be like one of my role models, like very strong, confident. She said it seems she was a single mother, and she was taking care of her son. So because of that mother role, she had to be strong. She had to protect. She had to provide. But the son reached a point that he was already out, and then he left her to go and live in another country and study, something like that. Once the son moved out of the house, she lost that identity because she didn't have to protect the son anymore. She didn't have to provide. She didn't have to do all of those. So that identity broke and she lost all that confidence and she was really broken and depressed. So please write down while we are waiting what roles, whatever you identify yourself with, because this could be one of the traps even in the line of spiritual work, even when you are doing charity work and helping others or healing. So in spiritual and healing communities, many subconsciously tie their worth to being needed. So when you help other people and you see that you're improving your life, you feel good, right? After a while, this becomes your role, the role of a healer or a helper. And whenever you are not in that position, you might lose your identity, the whole identity. And therefore, you may overexert yourself, overexhaust yourself because you want to keep that identity. Because without that, you feel lost. Without that, you feel nothing. So this links to the consistency bias, the tendency to behave in ways that align with one's own self-image. So sometimes this thinking about this or identifying yourself with this role leads to low self-confidence, like means you only think you are worth if you help, if you heal. So over time, people may fear setting boundaries or declining help because it feels like a betrayal to who you are. So when you really identify yourself with this role, if someone asks for healing and you don't heal or you don't help, you feel like, oh, who am I anymore? If I don't do this, then I will lose my identity. So what is the solution? Paramahansa Yogananda emphasized the importance of all roles and the centrality of the soul. So means if you actually study Dharma, every responsibility is important. It doesn't mean that if you are a healer, then your role is better or higher than someone else who is doing something else. Every role in the society is important. Every role in a community is important. It's like a body. Society is like a body. Like we can say fingers doesn't matter, leg doesn't matter. I don't know, liver doesn't matter. Every cell, every organ in the body is important. And if let's say liver thinks, oh, brain is more important, brain's role is more important, I want to do brain's role, I don't want to do liver's job anymore, there will be chaos. So every role in the society is important. It is not just if you only give, then you are important. So we need to actually detach ourselves from whatever we identify ourselves with, which is not the soul. We are truly the soul. Everything else in this life is just helping us to grow. Okay, so anything which is temporary, like in this lifetime, you might be a healer. In another lifetime, you might be a businessman. In another lifetime, you might be something else, a teacher. So whatever is temporary, we need to be able to detach ourselves from that. So that if something happened, like if we really identify ourselves with being a manager, for example, something happened and you get fired, then you will not have a good self-image anymore because that identity is lost. So all of that we need to detach ourselves from. Now, how can we do that? There is an I am affirmation by Master Choa Kok Sui that is to affirm, I am not the body, I am not the emotions, I am not the thoughts, I am not the mind, I am the soul. So by keep affirming that, we try to detach from everything which is temporary and focus on everything which is permanent. Practicing this twice a day or as many time as possible or needed helps realign identity with being rather than doing. So means you as a soul are important. When you are helping you are still a soul. Yes, you are helping others, you are improving their life, which is very good. But when you are resting also, you are still a soul. It's also important. If we don't rest, if we don't recharge ourselves, we cannot help anymore properly. So we need time to help, to act, but we also need time to retreat, to relax, to gain back energy. It's like sleeping. If we don't sleep and we just continue working, after a few days without sleep, we will not be as practical as, we won't be as good as before. We can't produce as good as before. We won't be as sharp as before. So we need to understand this, that we also need time for break. Now, journaling also prompts such as, who am I without this role? So if you really find yourself being too attached to a certain role, try to answer this question, that if that role is taken away, then who are you? Like sometimes with physical assets, I do this. If this house, if this car, if this, if that is taken away, who am I? Answer to that question. And it helps you slowly detach and understand that all of this is temporary. At some point, they may be all taken away. And once it's taken away, who will be? Who you will be? Like some of you are pranic healing instructors. If something happened and you can't teach anymore, then who are you? What would you do? That's the question we need to answer. Okay, so let's do this I am affirmation, just the first part together, and then we will go to the next concept. So please close your eyes, be aware of your whole body and your whole being. Mentally say, I am not the body. I am not the emotions. I am not the thoughts. I am not even the mind. The mind is only a subtle instrument of the soul. I am the soul. I am that I am. I am a spiritual being of divine intelligence, divine love, and divine power. I am connected and one with my higher soul. I am that I am. Inhale slowly and deeply. When you are comfortable, gently open your eyes with a big, big smile. So this was only a portion of the I am affirmation. The full version is in Master Choa Kok Sui's books, and it's part of Achieving Oneness with the Higher Soul course. But even if you keep repeating, I'm not the body, I'm not the emotions, I'm not the thoughts, I am the soul, still help us to detach from whatever beliefs and thoughts we have, which is not permanent, which is not true. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, which is empathy fatigue. And Arko will guide us through this. Thank you.
Thank you, Hengame. That was a superb explanation. And I think a lot of people have resonated with this definition personally. The empathy fatigue is, in short, is feeling too much. So when you're, labor, childbirth, chronic emotional labor. So those of you who've given birth, or those of you who have some idea about the kind of energy, effort, pain that goes into it, imagine that happening to your system emotionally all the time. So when you have chronic emotional labor all the time, your anterior insula, we'll talk about that in a bit, but in short, it's a part that's responsible for emotional resonance, emotional replies. It becomes hyperactive. So essentially, if you're being emotionally available all the time, if you're emotionally working all the time, the emotional part of your brain becomes hyperactive, which leads to empathy fatigue. Now, question for everyone in the chat. What's the difference between empathy and sympathy? What's the difference between empathy and sympathy? So that's something you can talk about or you can think about while we're talking about the rest. So when you have empathy fatigue, you become emotionally numb, you become irritable, and you start to burn out. So how many of you might have noticed this about yourself, right? Yes, if this has happened, that after helping others, you suddenly have a moment when you're completely withdrawn and you feel very angry, very irritable, and you just want to be left alone. So you may have organized some sort of a camp, or you may have done a lot of work, you've gone out, fed people, But when you're done, after a while, you just feel, I'm out, I'm done. Okay. So the anterior insula, okay, or in some terms, AI, it's located deep within the brain, part of the insular cortex, not going into the medical details of it. It plays a very critical role in integrating internal bodily sensations, which we call interior receptive. It causes internal body sensations. It integrates that, and exteroreceptive or external sensations. So you have internal feelings, and external stimuli, external information. And this AI, the anterior insula, is heavily involved in processing social emotions, emotional processings about relationships, interactions, and all aspects of cognition or understanding. Okay, so your AI, your own AI. For me, AI means orco intelligence, all right? But that's AI because I was born in that way. So shout out to my parents for naming me that. For Hengame, it's HI high. Hengame is intelligence, all right? So all of you joining in, if you're healers intelligence high, okay? I'm allowed to make bad jokes. I'm allowed to make these jokes. You're allowed to laugh, okay? It's okay. Because we're talking really serious stuff. Your AI located deep within your brain is playing a very crucial role in integrating internal body sensations and external sensations. So if it is constantly processing internal, external, it becomes hyperactive. So then what happens? Burnout. So empathy, the difference between empathy and sympathy is you see a person without shoes, okay? You see a person walking without shoes and you say, oh, I feel so sad. This person doesn't have shoes, bare feet, so on. Empathy is when you try and imagine and you feel what it's like to be on the hot surface or the cold surface, to have dirt, to have the nails or stones pricking your feet, and you start to physically feel, or definitely emotionally feel, the other person's sensations. So that's what person's written in the chat. Empathy is with the person and sympathy is for a person. You can't just put your feet into that other person's shoes, especially if the person doesn't have shoes. Okay, so if you're constantly empathizing about the other person, okay, you're going to be subjecting your anterior insula, your AI, to all that overload. And what happens when the AI gets overloaded? It starts giving wrong answers. ChatGPT is down. So many presentations would flop if ChatGPT wasn't working, right? Now, the availability heuristic, okay, it plays a role that helpers and healers often see when they're seeing suffering and witnessing suffering up close. So it reinforces the belief that they must always intervene. How many of you have this situation? You see a person suffering on the road, and as a healer, your tendency is, okay, I'm going by, I'm going to bless the person, or I'm going to send some kind of healing energy, or invoke for healing angels, healing ministers, all of these. We can have a session on angels sometime. Blessing, making sure something's happening. Many of us go out to actually help, okay? If there's an accident victim, to make them more comfortable, calling an ambulance, and so on. Let's talk about the word availability heuristic, or AH. Okay, we went AI, now we're talking about AH. Heuristics are simple rules of thumb that our brains use to make decisions. These are experiences or information that we have gathered over a period of time, and we use these shortcuts to make that decision. So simple, when you're driving, how many of those of you who drive or you're biking, you don't think about putting your right hand over the left hand when you're turning the car wheel, do you? You don't actively think about which foot to put the brake on. You don't actively think about which gear to engage when you're, gearing up or gearing down, or how to hit the buttons. You don't think about it because you have that framework already created in you. So to give another example, when you choose an outfit for work, if you're going for work or going for a meeting, when you choose a work outfit that looks professional, instead of wearing pajamas, instead of wearing sweatpants, you're making a decision based on past information. You know that when you're going to work in a suit or in a professional look, then the response is better. Vis-a-vis if you show up for an important meeting wearing a t-shirt and pajamas, okay? This decision that you're making is based on past information. It's heuristics, it's not intuition. So if you wear a suit to a meeting, you can't just say, I was divinely guided to wear a suit. Cut out the woo-woo. Be practical. Your brain is making that decision for you based on heuristics, based on experience. And you must have noticed this, right? A lot of healers, they become way too woo-woo, way too, okay? we have a lot of information available to us. It's just that we don't know how much we already know. So instead of panicking, instead of always thinking there's a supernatural explanation to things, we start thinking about the practical stuff. So when you're feeling too much about helping too many people, your anterior insula, your brain, shuts down. So how many of you felt this, right? That after a long day and someone's telling you something more and more about the problem, you become available for them because you have to be available, but your brain is just not registering anything. How many of you felt this? Write yes in the chat. Like, I've given you so much information and now your brain is not registering, but because I've asked you to write yes, you're writing yes. That's also possible. Okay, that's also possible. Now, let's move on to the, okay, more yeses coming in. Great. So we know that the prefrontal cortex is definitely working. So for those of you who have a little bit of a medical background or a physio background, if you're watching this, please congratulate me for getting some of the medical terms correct, even though I don't have a medical background. So let's talk about the practice of detachment side. We are again going into some of the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. Now, he recommends practicing divine detachment, which means you engage with compassion, but don't be overwhelmed by emotions. Okay, read that part again. Engage with compassion. You feel the emotions that you feel when you see someone in pain, but don't get overwhelmed by the emotions. So as Hengame did before, I am not the body, I am not the emotions, I am not the thoughts. So when you practice, so in pranic healing, we do the twin hearts meditation. How many of you here do the twin hearts meditation? How many of you have never heard of twin hearts meditation? Okay. If you've never heard of it, all right, get in touch with us and we'll guide you through it. It's amazing. Or we can share the link for the Global Pranic Healing website, which has the Twin Hearts meditation guided by Master Choa Kok Sui. Okay. And many of you do the Twin Hearts meditation. Show of hands, those who do the Twin Hearts meditation. There are many of you who think about doing the Twin Hearts meditation and you promise you'll do the Twin Hearts meditation. You have imagined doing the meditation, but you've forgotten to do the meditation. Many of you like that too, right? Yeah, I'm looking at you. I see you. Right? We talk about thinking. I think about meditating. If I actually meditate, So when you practice meditation, when you practice this emotional hygiene, your aura gets clean, your chakras get clean. You can actually disconnect consciously from the pain of others, their thought forms. We talk about thought forms, we talk about energy. It gets created in our aura, in our personal space. So as we do the Twin Hearts meditation, it's like an energetic shower. That's the phrase that Master Choa uses, right, Hengame? Doing the Twin Hearts meditation is like taking an energetic shower, spiritual shower, right? So that's what it's like. Your entire aura, your physical, etheric, astral, emotional, all that stuff gets cleaned out. So right now, while we're not going to be doing Twin Hearts meditation and we're already 45 minutes into our session, what we can do is everyone just make a note of how you're feeling right now on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being amazing, like you're super, super good. And you're looking at if 1 is like horrible, make a note of yourself, what you're feeling right now, make a note of that number. What we're going to do is, with the help and blessings of God, with the help of my spiritual teacher, Master Choa Kok Sui, and his spiritual teacher, with the help of all the spiritual teachers and saints of all the cultures, of all the traditions, you can think about your own personal spiritual teacher, whoever you have, someone you identify with. In their name, may all the unauthorized connections, all the unauthorized cords connecting to you, from within your space, from your colleague, from your work, all negative cords attached to you, in the name of the teacher, may they be cut, cut, cut now. So be it. Take a deep breath. Remember the cycle of giving and receiving, important to maintain the cycle. So you've taken a breath, release the breath as well. You've inhaled, exhale. How do you feel? 1 to 10. Just make a note of how you feel, 1 to 10. It's that simple. You've got the cord, you're feeling better. So that's how the numbers work. That's how energy works. So numbers are coming in, there are 9s and 8s and more. That's the practice of detachment. Okay. So now let's move on to the next part where we're talking more about service, and Hengame is going to work on that.
Thank you, Arko. So I think we have to like speed up the pace a bit. We have still a lot to talk about. Now, service as a cover for guilt. Have you seen when someone hurts you or hurts another person, they try too hard to do a things to make the person feel better or support or, help, heal, do something because of the guilt that they have. So like they want to compensate. Or sometimes you may have seen this in your friends, relatives, or even movies, like when a person don't have a good childhood, they do too much for their children. And because they didn't experience that, and now they are doing too much, if the child does not show gratitude, they get super angry because they think, I'm putting all of this for you because I didn't experience this. And now you are not grateful. That make them feel angry, irritated. But when we give to our children, to the people that we love, it should make us happy no matter how they feel. And it again shouldn't be too much also. So many of us, again, if you have this, please put yes in the chat. We are trying to be a bit honest here with ourselves, and there is no judgment. No one is going to judge anyone. This is just to help every one of us here, because most of us here, we are in this spiritual, world. We are doing service, we are doing charity work. So we want to make sure everybody continues. And these are some of the things that we have experienced in the past, and we try to let go. So we are trying to create more awareness on them so that everybody will continue doing it, not do too much and then let go. So many overserve, not from compassion, but from guilt, by trying to balance past mistakes or unmet expectations or internal shame. So sometimes we give because we may be feeling guilty, or we may give because we were not given when we were younger. So it's like our expectation was not fulfilled. Now we are trying to overdo it for people we love. So this plays into the moral licensing effect, where doing something perceived as good becomes a way to justify inner imbalance. Okay, so the subconscious equation here becomes, if I give enough, I won't feel like a bad person. Sometimes low self-esteem. We try to give too much when we don't feel fit in a certain group, in a certain friendship group. So we try to give too much in that friendship because we don't feel like we deserve to be here. So we are trying to give too much to feel that we deserve. And we are not a bad person if we don't have a good self-image. Now, how to treat that? In pranic psychotherapy, we learn how to address emotions, how to address thoughts, past memories, traumas, past unmet expectations. So by disintegrating them, releasing them, removing them from our system. So instead of working because of the emotion, we remove the emotion so that we can be free and we can serve without those, lower negative emotions and thoughts and beliefs. And Theosophy reminds us that evolution is not transactional, because karma is not offset by overgiving, but by awareness and correction. Although, yes, giving is important, but learning the lesson, being aware, correcting the mistake, all of that is important. Okay, it's not like if you know something is bad, you do it thinking that it's okay, I will do it, and then I will do a lot of good deeds to neutralize that. Karma doesn't work that way. Okay, it's not a transaction. It's also being aware, learning, growing, and also generating good karma. So what helps here is reflection, inner reflection. So every day before you sleep, you think about what you did on that day, services you did, the help you gave to others, counseling, healing, whatever. And if you find yourself being unhappy or expecting the other person to be grateful, because again, you see, we should give because we love to give, because of our hearts. When the heart chakra gets activated, we love to give, we love to help, we love to serve. And when we give, we feel happy. But if it's not because of the heart, if it's not from the heart, but it's because of fear, guilt, or all of these other emotions, we might be giving, but we might be expecting the other person now to feel grateful or to do something in return. And when they don't do it, we feel very angry and hurt. But if we really give from the heart, whoever have experienced this, when you really give from the heart, you feel happy already. Now, how many of you, when you receive gift, you will feel happy, right? Now, how many of you, when you give gift, you also feel happy, sometimes even happier? When you give compliment, you feel happy. If yes, please put in the chat. So by sharing love, by giving, by helping, we should be feeling happy already. And if that happens, then we should not expect the other person to be grateful or to do things, because no matter what happens to them, what they do, we already received the results of giving, which is happiness, which is more love, right? So inner reflection. Every day, just observe what you did, and if you didn't feel good, if you feel upset, if you feel disappointed, if you started to expect things from the other person, catch yourself, try to erase it in your mind, and then visualize what you should do instead. If you know practices like pranic healing or pranic psychotherapy, that could also help in disintegrating those emotions that are leading to this type of giving. Okay, now let's move on to the next trap, the savior complex. And Arko, please guide us through this. Thank you.
So the title of this session, thank you, Hangmei. The title of this session is Sacrifice versus Sabotage, right? This is where we get into the sabotage area. And this is an area where, as a healer, sometimes we feel that we need to fix other people. So this need to fix others, it can be an unconscious attempt on our part to control the uncontrollable. Something's gone wrong in our lives. We feel uncomfortable. We feel that lack of control. So we want to control similar elements in other people's lives. And as the example Hengame gave some time back, we have these parents who do a lot of things for their children. The parents feel that they had a lack of things when they were growing up, so they've given a lot of stuff for the kids. They try to also control the kids. They're saying, hey, I have given you all of this. I have provided. So you do as I say. How many of you have heard of this, or how many of you have experienced it as a kid growing up yourself? That, yeah, all right, I heard this from my mom, from my dad, I heard this from other relatives that, hey, we've done so much for you. We have given you such a good life. So you have to eat, sleep, drink, dress, talk to other people like this. Okay. So some of you are still suffering from that. And while a part of me wants to do a healing for you right now, this is your journey. We'll read that in the next page. This comes from unresolved personal pain or a lack of trust in the journey and experience of others. So this behavior creates energetic entanglements. It creates a lot of codependency, leading to chronic depletion. So now you understood the problem. I'm not getting into more stories on examples. Let's talk about solving the problem. Let's go on to the next slide. What we're going to have to practice is something called inner reflection. Okay. According to the spiritual teachings, the theosophical teachings, they emphasize on the freedom or the autonomy of the soul. So we have free will on one side, we've got karma or destiny on the other. It's all part of the same thing. Again, a separate topic. It's a huge topic. In pranic healing, there are cords between a healer and the patient or the client or the recipient. These can be scanned and they can be cut. So those of you who know pranic healing, you know how to do the scanning, cutting, checking, all of that. You can restore what is called this energetic independence. It's not a technical term, but you get the idea. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the affirmation. Okay. Before that, I want you to ask yourself, and this is a moment of quiet inner reflection, am I a person who has savior complex? Am I the kind of person who needs to fix things? Do I fix things before things go wrong? Do I fix things before things break? Am I the kind of person who rush out to help people? For many of you, the answer would be no. But for many of you, many of you, the answer will be Yes. And for all of you who've undergone the pressure of other people's expectations, say this loudly. Say this with me, okay? Together. Each soul has its own path. Each soul has its own path. Each soul has its own path. I am a catalyst, not a crutch. I am a catalyst, not a crutch. I am a catalyst, not a crutch. So you have to practice self-inquiry to assess whether you're enabling other people or empowering other people, okay? I got this feedback from someone who I greatly respect. And this person said that my presence, and this is a personal example, my presence in their life, it had become like a crutch. So if they needed help with something, I'd be available. Whatever activity, whether in terms of work or healing or whatever else, I'd become a crutch, to the point that I personally started feeling that I was being taken for granted. And that led to the relationship having some sort of problems. But what they said is that I was also a catalyst, not a crutch. I was a catalyst for getting them to move from where they were to the next phase. So this affirmation, okay, it's an affirmation that has come from personal experience, from understanding that there are people who love us and care for us, and we shouldn't let that relationship break down, because our presence in their lives and their presence in our lives, it's also a catalyst for us to improve. So the question to all the healers over here, how many times has it happened that you've done a healing for somebody which has actually solved a problem of your own life? Or you're going through a particular kind of problem and then you get a patient with a similar kind of problem and you're like, oh, okay, why is this happening to me? You've had that, right? Those of you who've done healings professionally, yeah, you've seen this. So as we say this affirmation that each soul has its own path, I am a catalyst, not a crutch. It makes you feel really, really good that I'm helping other people. I am empowering them. And they also feel really good because they are also empowered. And you can catalyze everything onto the next stage. Because if you are a crutch, okay, the story is like this. A blind man who regains his sight, the first thing he throws away is the stick which he leaned on for so many years. A blind man who regains his sight, the first thing he throws away is the stick he leaned on. So you don't want to be that crutch, right? You're a catalyst. Feel good about it. So practice this, do this in reflection. I'm sorry if that got really, really heavy, but as we said, this is going to be a deep session. So next part, let's talk more about the sacrifice side. Hengame, over to you.
Thank you, Arko. So this one is really subtle because even helping could become an unseen addiction. Now, the psychological hook here is conditioning. You know, some of us, when we help, even from childhood, when you do something good, you get praised. And after some time, you start doing that good over and over again, not because it's good, but because you are praised. I heard a parent was talking about how to, educate children, and they were saying now they are thinking about when a person is doing good, a child is doing good, to make the child understand that you are doing good because it's the right thing to do, not because you want praise or acceptance. So sometimes when we help others, they praise us. They, like when you do a very good healing, they say, wow, I feel good, I feel much better, you're amazing. They give us a lot of compliments and acceptance. You start to be accepted in, a lot of communities. And if this keeps happening, after a while, we continue doing it because we are addicted to that praise, because we are addicted to acceptance. So sacrifice becomes addictive. How many of us might be feeling this way? So if that happens, if you continue helping and at some point you don't get the praise, you may feel disappointed. But I think Yogananda again says you should do something because it's right to do, because of that thing, not because you are looking for the outcome, a certain outcome. Okay. Even Master Chokoku says, do something because it's the right thing to do. So over time, if this keep happening, we develop an unconscious belief that I'm only worthy when I'm suffering or when I'm exhausted, when I'm giving, when I'm sacrificing, because it becomes addictive. And then we get addicted to that praise. And because we want that being praised again and again, we keep giving, giving, giving until we are really exhausted and we can't give anymore. Okay, so this could be common among caregivers, empaths, spiritual aspirants. How to solve this? Accurate perception. Understanding that when we do something, we are doing it because it's the right thing to do, not because we want praise, not because we want compliments, not because we want to be accepted. So Yogananda taught that worth is in the essence, it's not a performance-based. This is a matter of proper humility and healthy self-esteem. You can also say it's a matter of accurate perception and correct expression. So affirmations such as, I am deserving of rest and abundance, help us reaffirm that I'm not addicted to sacrifice. I should not overexhaust myself. I also deserve rest and abundance. This happened to me like years ago. So I kept giving, giving, giving. And when there was a time for me to rest, I was feeling guilty. I was feeling having a day off, having a time to rest and relax or go for a holiday is not right when people need me or when I have to do something, when I have to like spread the teachings and so on. So I really couldn't rest and re-energize myself because I was feeling guilty of resting. So I would super exhaust myself and my productivity would come down. So affirmations such as, so I had to keep affirming, I deserve rest. I am deserving of rest and abundance regularly to really detach myself from that guilt and understand that resting is actually very important. Now, let's read this 3 times together. I am deserving of rest and abundance. I am deserving of rest and abundance. I am deserving of rest and abundance. Because resting is also important. Taking emotional breaks is also important. It's all part of whole life, right? Yes, a lot of you, you see that you are doing the same mistake. I had that also before. I couldn't really rest or take a break because I was feeling guilty. Okay, so let's continue. Self-care is really important. Let's continue with emotional attachments. Arko, back to you.
Thank you, Hengame. To the audience who's watching this and those who will catch the recording, this session forced a lot of inner reflection on our sides. A lot of the experiences that we've been through personally, or maybe still are going through, and figure that, yeah, you're resonating with all of this. We feel very guilty about taking rest. Okay. Now, certain individuals, they consciously or unconsciously, they feed on your emotional or your healing energy or your psychic energy. You notice this, right? You walk into a room and there are certain people who just drain you. Likewise, there are also certain people who, if you talk to them, like us, for example, like you talk to us, you listen to us, you feel automatically more energized, right? That happens. Say yes with capital Y-E-S. Okay. You feel that power, you feel that energy, more power, more passion, more energy. Yes, capital yes, because there's lots of energy to give. So if you are a kind of person who feels drained when you're interacting with other people, even though this person may be in a senior position or this person is someone who has helped you a lot, sometimes these are relationships which are disguised as friendships or mentorships, but they leave you really drained out. Like talking to them, you feel like, yes, as a senior person, but you feel very exhausted. Because this taps into the emotional investment fallacy where we keep giving because we've already given so much. In the stock market, suppose there's a stock that's not doing really well. People sometimes keep holding on to the stock, or they keep buying that stock because they think that, hey, I've invested so much time and energy in buying this stock, it just might make a profit. We do the same thing for people. That's why people stay in toxic relationships. They've been with somebody for so long, so many years. They think that, oh, if I just behave this way, or if he or she behaves that way, things will get better, things will get better, things will get better. But does it really get better? The answer is up to you. So these are disguised emotional attachments. How do we again fix that? Next slide. We maintain energy hygiene. So this is again a part in which we observe our inner state and energy after each and every interaction. Now, this is a part that really, really requires a lot of introspection. So if you feel drained or depressed, as someone wrote in the chat, that they tend to avoid certain areas or certain places or even certain people. Okay. So if you feel drained or depressed, you need to rethink, you need to apply those energy techniques again, like pot cutting and various other things. If you feel compassion for somebody, the compulsion to help them is not there. You do what you can, but don't overprotect of yourself. Like, as they say in the flights, okay? For those of you who fly, remember what they say? If you listen to the safety warnings, put on your own oxygen mask before you help the person beside you. If you've got kids traveling with you, put on your own oxygen mask first before you help other people breathe. Otherwise, you're helping somebody, and the next thing you know, you've passed out, you're unconscious. Going back to the thing that Hengame said, taking rest. If you don't rest, if you don't sleep, if you don't eat and take care of your health properly, then when the time comes for help and your own body has given up, of what use is anything? So it's in your interest. You as a healer, you must take rest. It is important. It is super important. So protect your energy, protect your body, protect your thoughts, take your salt bath, do your meditation on Twin Hearts, invoke divine help, guidance, and protection. As a healer, you cannot negotiate on doing your meditation. You cannot negotiate on doing your salt bath. Otherwise, the patient will have more energy than the healer. And then the patient will say, thank you. And the healer is like, okay, so maintain energy hygiene. Okay, not exact words. The healer might use a different word. They might say, whatever. All this happens because we're giving of ourselves too much. So next part, we talk about another syndrome. Hengame, over to you.
Thank you, Arko. Now, this happens with people who are very, very kind and loving, but not willful enough. So means the heart chakra is too big, but the solar plexus ajna is not. So we become out of balance, and then we can't say no anymore. It becomes like a people pleasing. And sometimes it's because of fear of rejection and the desire for belonging. But a lot of times it's also because the chakras are not balanced anymore. The heart is too big, but the solar plexus, the ajna, are not as big. I remember this friend, say no means someone asks you to help them and you already have other commitments, but you can't say no to them. So you keep saying, yes, I will do. Yes, I will help. And you are already tired, but yes, I will. I remember years ago, I had a friend, she actually came and learned pranic healing and we became friends. And she was very sweet, very kind, but she had this problem. She couldn't say no. So sometimes she overpromised her time to many people. And because she couldn't, perform, because she overpromised, she would disappear. For example, I would ask her, are you available for this healing clinic? We need healers. She would say yes. But then she also promised her time at the same time to some other people for other things. Now imagine if you overpromise to a few people, of course you can't perform, you can't, be everywhere at the same time. So she would disappear. And then I keep calling her, like, because I already thought she's coming. So I already counted on her. So I keep calling her, phone is off. Later on, when I see her, I ask what happened. Then I realize, okay, she overpromised because she couldn't, perform. She just runs away. So she applied to become a pranic healing instructor. When the And she had a boyfriend that time. Whatever the boyfriend was telling her, she would just say yes, and she would do. Like if she wanted to stay for meditation, but the boyfriend wanted to leave, the boyfriend would tell her, no, let's go, and she would say yes, although she really wanted to stay. So she applied to become a pranic healing instructor. In scanning, she was not accepted. And the reason why was your ajna is too weak. You don't have enough willpower to control the class. This was really hard on her. So she really started to work on her ajna chakra, do a lot of the meditation on the soul. So in Achieving Oneness workshop and also Arhatic Yoga, you learn a meditation called meditation on blue pearl. One of the effects is activate the will. As she was doing it, I would notice that her energy is really changing. She is becoming more fierce. And I remember one time we had meditation, and as usual, she asked the boyfriend, should we stay? The boyfriend said, no, let's go. But this time she said, no, I want to stay. And I was like, wow, she has really changed. So sometimes we keep saying yes because we can't say no. And that is because of imbalances in the chakras. So if we work on our chakras, we make them balanced, we work on our willpower, then we can decide when to say yes, when to say no. Because if we can't say no, we keep saying yes, keep doing things that we might not be liking to do, or we might not have enough time to do, that leads to resentments, scattered focus, a sense of being trapped by one's own helpfulness. And sometimes you may just leave everything. So slow and steady is better than doing too much and then just leave everything and let go of everything. So one technique is use the pause principle. So it means whenever a person or someone asks you for a favor, before you say yes, pause for 5 seconds. So every time if you do this, it gives you, it helps you to develop your willpower also, because you don't immediately say yes. At least you delay it by 5 seconds to create conscious choices. And then gradually start thinking, can I really do this? Can I really perform? Am I over-promising? And then commit. Theosophy teaches that love without discernment is weakness. In pranic healing, a clean solar plexus and certain other chakras, as we discussed, is important. All the chakras should be balanced. Yes, it's good to have a big heart, but the heart chakra shouldn't be too big to make us imbalanced in such a way that we can't even say no. We have to make decisions consciously, okay? And then there are affirmations such as, my time is sacred, keep saying that, and to also understand that you are important as well, okay? Now let's move on to trauma-driven, and Arko will guide us through this.
Thank you, Hengame. The Ajna chakra, there are several chakras. So as you do pranic healing and you go into deeper and deeper, basic, advanced psychotherapy, and so on, you learn that each chakra has a physical, has a physiological, has a psychological, and various other functions. So working on those chakras individually, getting healing for them makes a big difference in our presentation of our day-to-day lives. Sometimes, so the word altruism is when you want to really help other people. You have no motivation to gain anything financially. So those who have unresolved childhood trauma, they may serve other people compulsively because then they feel validated. Okay. And that was one of the examples that we had. Many of you answered this. I still feel a need to prove myself. How many of you resonated with that one? As a healer, I'm healing and I'm doing things because I still feel a need to prove myself. That comes from this. Okay. This aligns with trauma reenactment patterns. Subconsciously, you're trying to repeat the situations to try and win them at the same time. We often do this, okay? We lose an argument at work or in the parking lot or somewhere, and then in our head, we're playing that back over and over again that, okay, if I said this, then she could say that, and then I would have said this, and everyone would say, whoa, you're such a hero. We do that, right? A lot of the sitcoms and comedies that we watch on TV or Netflix, it's about watching people go through this inner monologue or inner dialogue, and we're like, haha, so funny. but this actually is a trauma response. So a lot of the stuff that we do, it's because we want to control the situation. We want to be in charge of the whole situation. So service becomes a survival mechanism rather than a conscious act. This service becomes a survival mechanism because I feel in control. I don't want to get any more trauma, therefore I'm preventing this. So then how do we fix this? We fix it by questioning our motivation. So we spoke about the chakras having different functions. So psychotherapy, which deals with the psychological side of the chakras, the healing protocols in pranic psychotherapy, they can cleanse a lot of these past ideas and these calcified, these really rigid belief systems from specific chakras. We're not telling you which ones, okay? How many of you have done pranic psychotherapy? How many of you know how this works? Okay, show of hands or yeses. When you do pranic psychotherapy on patients with a lot of problems, so for example, if you're a healer and you get a lot of people coming to you, talking to you, if you go through the pranic psychotherapy book, I've got the book here, okay, that's the advanced pranic healing book, but there are a lot of stories and testimonials given in the book where, especially in the latter parts, where Master Chua is talking about, or other people are talking about their experiences. Those testimonials are super, super important because they're telling you how people have used pranic psychotherapy, how they've used pranic healing techniques to help people remove a lot of their trauma. Okay, so several teachers, they have emphasized the healing of the soul, of the psyche through silence and divine communication, divine communion. So you can combine healing, the practice of actual healing, with deep inner reflection. And the question is, what am I seeking through this giving? Inhale, hold, exhale, hold. Inhalation, hold your breath. Exhalation, hold your breath. What am I trying to achieve when I give all of this? Am I expecting people to praise me? Am I expecting people to say, oh, look, what an amazing person you are? Or look, you're so handsome, which I am. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What kind of praise or what kind of interaction am I expecting? So as you ask, and please note this down in your notes or take a screenshot of this. It's a really important thing. What is my motivation? Who am I? Why do I do what I do? Okay, so that's all about motivation, because then that leads to the next part, which Hengam will talk about.
Thank you so much. This is a bit similar to one of the concepts we discussed in the beginning. Sometimes it's fear of losing relevance, especially when we identify ourselves with that role of being a helper. So once someone becomes known as the one who always helps, stepping back may feel like losing identity or social standing or relevance. Okay, so it's like amplified by the status quo bias. So there's a preference to keep things as they are, even at a personal cost. So what can we do with this? Quietness, stillness. So Theosophy teaches us that true power lies in withdrawal as much as in action. We can use pranic healing techniques to scan or to just be aware and see whether your giving is producing peace for yourself as well. And be aware of your inner states every time when you help. Like a lot of time when we give these talks, when we conduct healing clinics, when we conduct meditation, after that, both of us, Arko and I, feel really good. Okay, I can say like we chat, we SMS, we message each other that I feel really good. This was a really good session. So if what you do already gives you that satisfaction, you will not depend on other people to really, compliment. Okay, but I also keep asking myself several times, at some point, if I can't teach, at some point, if I can't do the meditation, then what happens? And then you realize it's not just what you do, but it's also your learning. Every time you teach, every time you do something, you are growing. So you are actually taking that with you. We are already getting the fruit of what, we are helping, what we are doing, and what we are sowing. We are already reaping the fruit by growing. So just the act of giving is not important, but also what we take from it, what we learn from it, how we grow. And so affirmations such as I am valued in my presence, not in my performance, can also help us deal with this. Of course, performance is very important. We are not saying don't do what you are doing. We are saying, do what you are doing, but don't be attached to the outcome. Don't be attached to the identity. Don't be attached to the acts. As you give, you are growing. So also value that growth, value that essence, not just the performance. Okay. So let's move on to the next one. We are almost reaching the end, and sorry that it took longer, but we couldn't really remove any of the slides because each slide was really important. Back to you.
Yeah, it's each and every one was important. And this is the material that made it to the presentation. There's almost double the quantity that we didn't put up. So the research books are a lot. Okay, how many of you have a problem saying no? Some of you said this in one of the previous slides, right? You find it really difficult to refuse somebody. So sometimes a lot of our boundaries, they get removed because we think that, oh, there's a lot of love there. So as a healer in spiritual communities, when you say no, other people can misunderstand that as being unloving, that, oh, you don't have any love, you don't have any kindness, you're so injurious because you said no. So this makes a lot of martyrdom. Martyrdom is like when you suffer for a cause, because love gets confused with erasing yourself. Because you love me, you have to do this for me. And you feel bad about it, but you've helped me and I love you, so on and so forth. How many of you experience this? That someone who loves you coerces you, coaxes you into doing something that you don't really want to do. Like, hey, you are my partner, so therefore you have to do this. They don't say that as much, but it's an expectation that because you are with me, you are expected to behave in a way which makes me feel really good. I am entitled to your presence. I am entitled to your time. I am entitled to your attention. Sometimes it comes from a place of love. Many times it's a mask of love because there's no boundaries. And that's important. As a healer, just because I'm healing somebody or giving something to somebody doesn't mean that I can expect it from them all the time. So that's again a part of professionalism. Sometimes it comes with the likability bias. This is an important cognitive bias. The likability bias is when you think people like you. When I say like you, I don't mean that they like you. It's when it's a people like you. You may have the same office, you may have the same hobbies, you may enjoy going to the same kind of movies, etc. It's people like you. Because you are like me, I have to agree with you. How do you work with that? You go on, you talk about emotional boundaries. Now on the next slide. In this particular part, you have to practice detachment. And according to Master Choa Kok Sui, detachment has nothing to do with coldness. It has nothing to do with being dried up. It doesn't mean that you have to be indifferent. The real meaning of detachment is to realize that nothing is permanent. So what if you couldn't talk to someone for a week or a month? Doesn't that happen with friends? You've lost touch with your school friends or your college friends for decades, and then you meet them at a reunion, and then you just pick back right up. You don't have to be constantly saying, oh, I love you, so I have to be with you all the time. Boo hoo hoo, ha ha ha. You don't do that, right? I mean, look at that and you say, oh, that's really immature. Haven't you seen that? It's like love-struck teenagers or whatever it is. You've seen this, right? A lot of movies get made because of it. There's a movie trending somewhere where people are now calling up their exes because it reminded them of something. Sayara, I think that's showing on your screen near you. So practice verbal boundaries like, I care for you, I love you deeply, but I'll get back to you after I have taken my rest. You don't have to respond to every SMS, every voice note, every WhatsApp, every email right then and there. You care, but you can't care for somebody if your own oxygen mask is on. So you can use visualization techniques as well to kind of create a shield or a boundary around you. Not because of the lack of time, can't really go into that in too much details, but essentially you can say, I care deeply and I'll get back to you after X amount of time. So from emotional boundaries, Hengame, can you talk about the next section?
Okay, the last one is the spiritual ego's mask. Now, sometimes people help because of pride, or sometimes helping a lot and not being aware of the process and everything leads to pride. Now, what does it mean? Have you seen these people who are in a spiritual path, but they are quite rude? They are not really conscious of the other people, or sometimes they think others are less evolved compared to them. Yes, this is the pitfall. So as we help, as we do charity work, as we heal, we always need to watch out for pride. We shouldn't think that because I'm in the position to help, the other person is less evolved than me. Because the person needs me, I am more evolved. I am a better person. I am more spiritual. It's not like that. As we discussed earlier, Dharma, everybody has their own role and everybody is growing at their own pace. It doesn't mean that we are more evolved. Okay, sometimes some people keep asking, do I have pride? Am I proud? Sometimes this could be an indication of yes, you are. So humility, how do we know? Daily inner reflection. Again, we have to observe how we think of others when we are helping. In our Hatha Yoga, there are techniques like blue triangle to help remove this pride. But keep being aware, practicing the virtue of loving kindness and non-injury, honesty and non-lying internally helps to realize that we are not better than others. We are all growing. We might be in a position to help someone at some point, but then we also need help at some point. So we are all helping one another. It's not like one is better than the other. Okay, recall Yogananda's words, the greatest among you is the one who sees no difference between high and low. And there is a quote by Master Choa Sui saying, by being high, you become low. And by being low, you become high. By being humble, you become high. So as we give, we need to really keep looking for pride and understand that even being in this position to help is a blessing. So be humble, be available, try your best, and don't look down on others, at others that you're helping. With that, we go to the end, and Arko would help us with ending and Thanksgiving prayer. Thank you.
I'll help you with the ending prayer. I'll not help you with ending. Okay? Accurate perception, detachment, right? I have detached you from all your worldly problems. You are free. No, not that. Again, you're allowed to laugh. I crack these jokes. It's important. Because remember, your life should be balanced. Your spiritual development must be balanced. This is a quote from Master Choa Sui. Live life by karma. Is this something that you want to be done to yourself? Then do it for others. If this is something that you don't want to be done to you, then don't do it to others. Energetically also, if you think that saying bad things will hurt other people, don't say them. If you think that if someone is chronically addicted to helping others and you need them to take a step back, this session is for healers by healers. It's okay to take the rest. It's okay to take the time off. It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to move off track once in a while, but just get back on track and do it in a way, take on as much as you can handle. Okay? It's okay to say no to doing 20 healings. If your capacity is doing 5, do 5. But the 5 that you do it properly. We want everything to be normal. We want to have a relationship of love and happiness and laughter. We don't want everything to be sad or angry all the time, right? That's really important. So your life should be balanced. Your spiritual development should be balanced. So Hengami, if you can just put on the last slide. Thank you. Some screenshots of the sessions that we attended. We've enabled this one. We've enabled video sharing. So if everyone can switch on their videos, we'll take another screenshot for more things. If you can take a screenshot of this, this has the QR code for any donations. If you might want to make, it helps us. It really helps us to bring the work to more people. Okay, so thank you so much for making this possible, and we are grateful to you. We have this prosperity healing sessions exclusively for the ones who are donating. And if you see some faces you recognize, we thank you for being there with us. So let us now do the closing invocation. You can all switch on your videos if you want. We can all have a nice group energy all the time. With the help and blessings of God, with the help of my spiritual teacher, Master Choa Sui, with the help of all the spiritual teachers, all the saints of all the traditions, all the great, great ones, all the holy gurus, all the holy masters, all the saints, all the archangels, all the beings of light. We thank you for your priceless blessings, divine light, of divine love, divine power, for healing, inner healing, physical healing, psychological healing. Thank you for healing all my relationships, my finances. Thank you for healing all my patients, all my clients. Thank you for healing the place where I work. Thank you for healing my home. Thank you. Thank you in full faith. Take a deep breath. Imagine the teacher, whoever your teacher is. We may imagine Master Chua Kok Sui. So some of you have a photo of the teacher around you, so you can look at the photo of the teacher. Look in the teacher's eyes and say, Atma Namaste, Master Chua Kok Sui. Thank you for everything. Thank you. Yes, Master. Thank you, Master. With gratitude, with deep respect, with lots of love, with all our love, we thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining in for these sessions. It makes a huge difference. Please do write in the group chat what your takeaways were, what your important takeaways were. And as always, in a couple of days, we'll be sending the session recording to you on your email. Thank you so much. Hengame, any closing remarks?
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying more than the session's time, but we really wanted to go through everything because we thought it's important. Thank you so much, and see you for the next session next month. Thank you. Bye.